Dan Quinn, now the head coach of the Falcons. Third time in 4 years he's been in the Super Bowl as the Seattle Seahawks defensive coordinator. 2 years ago, he threw it 50 times, Brady did, and they only sacked him once. So what's the plan defensively to try and slow down Tom?
Well, the plan defensively with this young defense is keep it simple. They've got to keep it simple, and that's hard to do because the Patriots give you a whole different set of adjustments virtually on every play because they change formations, they change personnel groupings, and what they're really trying to do is get you mismatched. And they can mismatch you with running backs, they can mismatch you with the tight end, they can mismatch you with their wide receivers if you play zone. So they create pressure on you to adjust quickly. And if Tom Brady feels that he's got you in a little bit of a confused situation, he'll step on the gas and they'll go up tempo. So the real trouble that the young defense of the Falcons is going to have is being able to focus and make sure they do not get mismatched. Make sure that they're clear on their adjustments. If Dion Lewis is flanked, who's going out there with him? If the fullback is flanked, who's going out there with him? If Martellus Bennett is the wide receiver alone on the weak side, who's going out there with him? The base of the Falcon defense is man-to-man, so that means adjustments galore. But
Bill's with the band, by the way, in case you're wondering.
Where did they?
Bill is with the band.
I can adjust, by the way.
Exactly.
And the man,
you've been ameliorated.
The man who I think is making those defensive adjustments for the Falcons is none other than the head coach himself, Dan Quinn. There's a real belief inside the league that Dan Quinn has begun calling the defensive signals and plays for this Falcons defense. The coaches who've watched him say that Quinn looks during the game like he's calling the signals, probably because he is calling the signals. Nobody's talked to him or acknowledged it, but there's a real belief that Quinn is now calling the Falcons defensive plays.
There's also a real belief that the NFL Insider's Super Bowl Sunday edition is always better with a soundtrack. I mean, that's been said for years. Lewis, it's not a shock that most quarterbacks don't like pressure right up the middle.
Sure.
The Texans in the playoff game did a great job with Whitney Merciless coming inside.
Yeah.
As the crescendo grows to get pressure on Tom, how will the Falcons try and do that up the middle?
Yeah, they'll try and do the same thing, Trey. They'll try and do it because Tom doesn't like it, and they'll try to do it because that's really where the weak point is of the Patriots' offensive line. They're going to try and attack center Joe Thuney. They're going to try and attack center David Andrews and left guard Joe Thuney. You see it here in the championship game. They're going to play press man coverage on the outside and use their speed, as Dan Quinn talked about, down the middle as far as creating pressure with sending an extra rusher. Deion Jones, one of the fastest linebackers in the NFL. Again, they won't get too fancy. You can't get fancy. When you go up against a team like this that uses so many different personnel groupings and deploy them in so many different ways, you can't have a bunch of checks.
Right.
You have to have a call to play and then something that you can basically go to and that will play against everything. You try to match every formation with a check, you're going to be out there and you're going to get paralysis by analysis. And next thing you know, as Bill just mentioned, they're going to up the tempo on you.
Right.
Everybody's going to be sitting out there looking at each other. And next thing you know, the scoreboard is going to be ringing up like a slot machine, and they're going to get blown out of here. They won't do that.
Tony Dungy used to tell our team in these kind of situations, do what we do.
Right.
Don't worry too much about the opposition.
Just stay true to the simple game plan. Okay.